So I'm going to use the example of a battery. I've used this example before by holding up an actual battery. I don't know if you can see that, but it basically has philosophy of the human will written on the battery. Okay, philosophy of the human will. Doesn't matter if it's the philosophy of the human will or presumption of the human will. Here, we're going to identify it as the presumption of the human will. When you're dealing with a Calvinist, and this happened to me when I was at the University of Mobile, my professors were Calvinists and they would lay everything out there. And Dr. Yonts, he's passed away now, but to this day, I still respect him. He didn't, a lot of people are just deceived and ignorant and they don't know any better. But he was a good guy, but he did this same tactic too. He would describe Calvinism, then he would describe first of all, they get you to hate Pelagius. Okay, they take you through the whole controversy, the Pelagian controversy. I got the book right up here. I'm going to show you a picture of the Pelagian. The book is, I got it pictured right there. They take you through the whole Pelagian controversy, and they get you to hate Pelagius, and then they take your views and they label them as semi-Pelagian. And what people do, they're like, oh, I don't want to be a semi-Pelagian. I don't want to be thought of this way. And it's a manipulative tactic because people are egoic, they're carnal, and they very much care about what Fowler calls your S prime, and that is your perception of what other people think of you. I don't want other people thinking I'm a semi-Pelagian. And so all the students are sitting there squirming in their seats trying to figure out how to not be considered a semi-Pelagian, right? And so this is a very manipulative trick that Calvinists do because they will point out all the errors elsewhere. And what this is the projection of their own shadow. The reason they're pointing out errors elsewhere all the time is because they know that they are in error and they're trying to point the finger elsewhere outside so that it doesn't point back at them. Now, if you understand anything about psychology, you can recognize projection right off the bat, and it is projection through and through. And all Calvinist ideologues do this because they all know Calvinism is wrong deep down, but they can't bring themselves to admit it for a variety of different reasons, which we have more than 60 videos on cognitive science, growth and transformation, for why humans function the way they do, in-group, out-group, pressure, those kinds of things. And so the person squirming in their seat, they don't want to be non-Pelagian. And also, there's a name for this. Somebody brought it up in our Discord, and I can't remember what the name for this is, but they do it in the American Gospel. And there's several other logical fallacies associated with this, such as guilt by association, false dilemma fallacy, false equivalency fallacies. There's multiple ones doing this. And in the documentary called The American Gospel, they go through all these different kinds of churches, from cults to Mormons to Bethel movement and Hillsong. I can't remember all the ones they go through, but they're all wrong. And they never tell you what's right. They never say Calvin, like all the ones they show that are correct are Calvinists, right? So if you know who's talking and you know where they're coming from, you know that they are saying that Calvinism is correct. But they never put Calvinism forth for scrutiny, okay? They never set it forth for open scrutiny or criticism. They never tell you what their doctrine, what their distinctives are. They never tell you what they are. They never tell you what the big controversies with them are. So all the things that they're pointing out as wrong, they are just as wrong. They are just as wrong, but they don't want anybody to come to the cognitive level of awareness to realize how wrong they are. So they never present their own stuff. So it's presumed by default that the people they are recommending are correct, while all the other people, so there's this out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. So all you see is Joel Osteen and Kenneth Copeland and Bethel and Hilton. All these guys are all just so wrong. And like, where do you go? Where do you go to avoid all of this? Well, you just come to us. Just come to us. Well, hold on. Stop. Just wait a second. What about you? What about you? What's wrong with you? They are more messed up than any of them. They are the ones to avoid the most. You'd be better off in any of those groups than you'd be with Calvinists. Any of them. I don't care. I don't care what they are. You'd be better off at any of them. So this kind of false dilemma is what they present, and they're begging the question. Really, there's so many logical fallacies tied into this, and the presumption is that they've pointed out all these other things, and they're all wrong, and the presumption is that the Calvinists are correct, but they don't call themselves Calvinists. See, they don't identify who and what they are. And so this happened in University of Mobile. Everyone else, you're either an Arminian, an open theist, all the stuff in our disclaimer has a few of them there. They want to call you all these things. You're a synergist. You're a universalist. You're a whatever. They got all these labels. They're very left hemispheric, and they're trying to pigeonhole everybody into these labels that they have so easily taxonomized and categorized. They can't deal with an individual who actually thinks. So when they're talking to you, if you don't fall under a particular label, they start to short circuit and strip out their gears and burn up their clutch plate. They start having difficulties really fast because they can't talk to a thinking individual. They can only talk to a category that operates by a formula. Because they are categorical and they operate by formulas and scripts, they can only talk to categories that operate by formulas and scripts. So they're trying to find out what you are. Are you an Arminian, a traditionalist, a Pelagian? They have to have a label for you. They have to have a predefined, predetermined, so that they can go into argue with Arminian mode. Now, they don't care about you. You don't have any nuances. You can't think for yourself. There's nothing you can think of that they need to entertain, because they have argument from authority fallacy that they're working with. All kinds of other fallacies. Victimhood equals virtue fallacy. Like all the fallacies. If you had all the fallacies all in one place, the name for that is Calvinism.